While having outstanding singing and dancing skills are qualities that people first look at when judging whether an idol is a legit performer, the significance of facial expression to add in the stage presence is also being emphasized more and more, as audiences become stricter and pickier with what they will watch. And today, we will talk about Gen 4 idols that are voted to have the best stage presence in the whole industry. Number 1. Yunjin Le Sserafim. Despite having just debuted for not even a month as of making this video, Yunjin has already garnered tons of attention for her visual, vocal, clean dance moves, and most especially the top-notch stage presence that not many rookies could have. Actually, part of the reasons might come down to the fact that she used to be on Produce 48 and also left good impressions as one of the top vocalists of the show that year. But even with those who have got to know her for the first time, they still have to admit that the energy Yunjin gave out on stage was overwhelmingly shining. When Source Music released the teaser photos of Yunjin, people had already noticed her for the bright visual and the vibe that portrayed the perfect harmony between the beauty preferences of the West and the East. However, her reputation still wasn't the top in Le Sserafim back then, as netizens were paying more attention to Kazuha, who was said to be a 4th-gen embodiment of Suzy and Kim Garam, whose visual was said to be a younger version of the famous Japanese actress Ariza Mizuki. Coincidentally, also the most favorite actress of HYBE's CEO Bang Si-hyuk. However, as Le Sserafim made their first public appearance, people started to stan Yunjin like crazy, as she effortlessly slayed the stage and proved how she was always born to be an idol. Especially for the last bridge of Fearless, her aura was so imposing that a netizen even cut out that specific part and posted it on YouTube, proving how versatile and fiery her facial expression has made an 11-second part stand out most saliently compared to the whole video. According to netizens, Yunjin's gaze, smile, and even transitions between two opposite emotions, cheering and badass cold, were all done with just perfect dynamics rather than giving the impression that she was overdoing everything to gain attention. Number 2. Tsuki Billy. Talking of idols with best facial expressions, apparently we can never miss out on Tsuki, the idol that dramatically pushed not only her name but also the whole group's reputation to the next level solely thanks to the outstanding ability to express the song's dynamics through her face. Back at the end of February, Tsuki suddenly took the internet by storm for the impressive control of facial expression, literally managing to change her facial expression 50,000 times within only 51 seconds. Maybe you may think it's an exaggeration as no one could switch back and forth so many emotions, but if you watch the fan cam of Tsuki, you would see what people said was 100% true. What's even more magical about Tsuki's facial expression was that even Ginga Mingayo only had several lines in English and in the chorus. Billy even sang a phrase in an exotic language. Many said they felt like they had understood what each part of the song was about because her facial expression changed in perfect sync with the high and low notes. However, as Tsuki smoothly transitioned from one expression to another and never pushed her emotions to the point of looking cringy, she didn't create the impression that she was overdoing it to seek attention, and instead garnered love from people. On All K-Pop, there were 2 articles writing only about her genius facial expressions. And the fact that they wrote the second one 2 weeks after the first showed that the heat about her salient facial control got people talking for half a month straight. Number 3. Jinny and Mix. While Jinny has already impressed people with her overwhelming superstar aura in the pre-debut cover Mama, she gets even more people talking after the official debut with NMIX because of the versatile facial expression that could effortlessly slay any performance. The most impressive thing about her capability to control expressions is that despite being smiley and cheerful all the time, people can still feel a strong sense of badass and girl crush in her presence. Jinny also knows how to manage her gaze and lips wisely. One of the most vivid examples is this short snippet of NMIX's OO, where in between the beaming smiles, she would raise an eyebrow or incorporate a little smirk or pout to make the performance more interesting. Despite being a rookie and this 6-second long clip was cut out of her very first appearance on a music show, the tweet still received about 3,700 likes and over 1,500 retweets. Reacting to the post, not only netizens but big outlets also agreed with the OP about how Jinny's facial expression was truly unmatched. On many other famous platforms, from TikTok, The Q, to even the international K-pop news channel KBiz Zoom, people still agreed that Jinny had the best facial expression among all members of NMIX and in K-pop. She certainly belonged to the top ranks of the list. A person even pointed out specifically that during NMIX's performance, Jinny was the only one to show various expressions from smirk, winks, surprised, scared, to even flirts, and also switched back and forth between them smoothly. Some also complimented Jennie for knowing how to use the versatile facial expressions to single herself out of many other pretty faces. Because in a distance, her visual looked like Song Hye-kyo, but thanks to her unique way of expressing emotions, people gradually realized she was the original version of herself with a cheerful yet cold and strange aura. Number 4. Yunjin, IVE. While the most famous of IVE is Wonyoung, and more often than not, her presence on stage would make headlines more than any other member, many still believed Yunjin's facial expression was most appealing in the group, and it came down to the fact that she knew how to balance the dynamic and the relaxed emotions to give out the best performance. Her control of expression is so impressive that right when she was just a 14-year-old kid in IZ*ONE, some outlets had already talked about her as a talented idol who had a great sense of facial expression and stage presence. Then as time passed and she debuted once again as a leader of IVE, netizens believed she had worked even harder to improve her facial control, rather than sleeping on the flattering compliments people showered her in the IZ*ONE era. However, a bit different from other idols on the list, Yunjin didn't manage to get her facial expression excellent right at first because according to a dive, when she was still on Produce 48, she had faced lots of hate when taking the center position from Kyon in IM. As netizens criticized, her expressions were too awkward and literally for the whole video, she was just staring intensely at the camera. Plus, for standing at the center, she was said to make the performance worse, negatively affecting the ranks of other potential girls. But things have changed now. Many people agree that Yunjin is not only the member with best facial expressions in IVE, but even in the whole K-pop industry because instead of just smiling and winking like most other idols, she could portray a perfect harmony between bold, mature, and bubbly, soft expressions to always draw people's attention. Plus, because IVE's concept follows the luxury and empowering image, many said Yunjin's presence on stage stood out even more, as her natural facial expressions well resonated with IVE's concept. Number 5. Yeonjin, TXT. While male idols couldn't show many emotions on stage because most are subject to the stereotype of looking either badass for dark concept or looking cute and bright concept, Yeonjin still managed to break all the boundaries and became the name popping onto people's minds first when they discussed idols with best facial expressions. Even though his visual gives off a strong, sexy, and manly vibe, people said cat and dog still suited him perfectly because of the playful smile. However, when the situation calls for something more serious and sexy, for example, this watermelon sugar and blow performance on Studio Chum, he still knew how to kill it perfectly by adding a sharp gaze, little smirk, and sometimes a lip bite to enhance the performance. Apparently, as a pro, he did it smoothly rather than forcing all the emotions out to look cool, so everyone was crazily in love with it. Back in 2019, his fan cam in Blue Hour was so famous for the impressive facial expression that Yunjin himself even knew about it and thanked fans for supporting him that much. So which idol on this list do you think has the best facial expression? And do you know any other idols with impressive control of expression? Comment down below to share your thoughts with us. Also, remember to like, share, and subscribe to BeBoss TV for more interesting K-pop content. Thank you for watching!